Silk is one of the most glamorous fabrics. It's strong, it's soft, from lingerie to parachutes. So how do you produce silk? Do you know? Now, don't worry, this is still Lost Battlefields. This is a channel about military, war, and bunkers. So here's a picture of a really cool tank, just to calm your nerves before you think I went off rails. However, I set out to find out more about silk production because we found what was claimed to be a silk factory, smack in the middle of one of the Second World War's most controversial areas, given what the Germans built there, the Project Reise sites. So a set of huge, strange structures there attracted the attention of my friend Paul Beattie, and I went to take a look, and I've never before seen what I found there. Now, this is what a silk production site looks like, in use or abandoned. This is how silk is manufactured in locations such as these. Machines, huge factory halls, warehouses. Now, you keep these images in mind, please. And then you contrast them with what I'm now going to show you. You see, the official story is that this is an old silk production plant. But there is nothing in my mind that I find less likely. This huge industrial cement and steel, technical infrastructure and underground have absolutely no resemblance of a garment or silk plant. But you judge for yourself. This is the first we see of the two lines in the ground. There's more in there. Genuinely no idea what this is. It's flat. Deliberately flattened. The trees are young, way younger than the war. Now, if I'm not all mistaken, and sometimes, Lord knows I am, some of this looks like railway gravel. These trees are deliberately planted in lines. There's nothing strange about that. The rocks I'm walking on these are all railway stones. I don't know if this... We are really right in the middle of the Reise area. So everything here is strange, and you all remember how everything in Poland is... The hell is that? This is kind of where I thought the train tracks were going to be, and I'm guessing these are sewer axes. This water runoff. Here's what I'm perceiving to be a rail. This is where you put a rail beam on, I'm pretty damn sure. And this looks like a train would have come here. When? Because there's no way it could happen anytime. Yeah, see, there's more than parallel there. There was trains here. There are trail tracks here. There were train tracks here. Look over there. I mean, okay, decent, new. What are they? Alright, so we all saw my little live from this area. I'm going to actually try to take a little bit of a closer look, because I still don't know what this place is. This site started when our graphics guy, Paul Beattie, sent me a coordinate. So this is in Poland, right near the Reise sites. I have no idea what this is. So I'm starting from one end. What you have here is what looks like a construction support building. All of this area was artificially flattened, and you have railway stones lying on these little bankments. You have the rail pebbles. So it gives me a thought that there might have been rails leading here with construction materials that were processed in here. Let me show you why I think that. Then you have the two parallel walls and these weird, huge structures on the other side, sort of in parallel and identical. But this, to me, looks like some sort of, I've seen something that looks up by the hill of the Reise tunnel, where they had cement mixed in something like this, with cement walls and then a sloping side, where you would think materials would be pushed in, processed. It's hard to tell how deep this is. It just looks to me like a soft material type of assembly building, maybe. This is pretty much what this is. One center tall wall, identical spares, rooms, small rooms with sloping sides leading into the center. And then you have these very, very long parallel walls. And two rabbits, apparently. Alright, that was different. Could have had breakfast there. So this is a whole flat. I actually thought it was a runway. I thought this was going to be a runway when I looked at it. Because these parallel walls, short, about 2 feet tall, a bit more than half a meter, maybe a meter, about a meter tall. And they run the length as far as I can see in both directions. And then they are met by two sloping, I don't know. That's the other thing, I don't know, and I can't find any information down there. And then there's the big things on the other side we'll get to. In case you didn't see the live, I'm going to take this from the beginning because I don't know what this is. This, I'm assuming, has some sort of production, construction. They constructed the site, obviously. Don't know when, but the trees are post-World War II. So my thought is this was done fairly soon after the war or during the war. So you have these that leads into this, these sloping sides here. They're not connected as far as I can tell. I don't know if this is a way to mix mass cement or concrete, or I think this is a support building for the production. I could be wrong. There's a huge area, empty field over here, where you could think you'd have an assembly for the construction materials. And then you don't know what this is. Obviously it's a hole full of water. There's a lot of water in this place. And there's a dam not far from here, like a small artificial dam. Which I thought for a minute all this water that I keep seeing had something to do with, but it's not. This is just, it's not that deep. It's just an assembly. It's an assembly of water, rainwater, and with apparently metal sides for some interesting reason. So I'm gonna walk down this way towards, well, you tell me. And this is unfortunately not one of those episodes where at the end of this, unless I really figure something out, can tell you what it is or what it was for and what you are thinking when you see these things. I don't think that's what it is, but we'll see. And there's a pillar. It could have been, I think, you know what, I think this was for a rail. This just looks like there's a mass of rail lines here. I think this could have been one where I think there was a lot of these rail lines ran to this area. Although the fun thing is, there's no reason for rail to be here. Because when you pull out on your map, so you drive to circle the area, there's nothing leading to or from this. No, and I want you to remember this, no reason for there to be a bridge, no reason for there to be rail, no reason for there to be links in any direction away from here. There's not even room for it because there's a little town in the way. But you have a lot of this I think here would be a crane that would sit on these four that would possibly unload what I'm perceiving to be a rail loading area that runs all the way down as far as you can tell. That is my thought. So I'll go into the plateau here. I really thought, looking at these from the maps, that this was going to be a runway, small runway, and now I already overshot it. We are surrounded by all the Reise tunnels, are all around us in every direction. About 20 clicks from the castle, I think. There's the first of whatever this is. This is, give you an idea. There's a support building, and here you have one of these. There's several of them. There's two of these. They're not identical, as with the things. This, I think this could again have been a loading ramp leading up to whatever this is. And see, there's stairs here. That was a door, which I thought was somewhat strange. But not. This could also have been something that was intended to be covered up. And hard to say, but it ends right there. At the end there, this is as far as that goes. And because of the water, I can't see if it runs under that wall. I don't think it does. But there's no reason, it almost must, it has to. It has to run into an underground here, because these steps keep going down. And steps on the side, there could have been little rollers, conveyor belt, something sitting in between here. Like you see, like run supplies will roll down. We've seen this. We've seen that in the explosive factory in Duck, actually. They had those stairs. Then there's a support building down there. I'll get to that in a minute. The support building over here is more intact, so it's more interesting. And there's another sewage drainage. There's quite a few of those. So there might be more underground here needing water transported away. Kind of hard to tell. So, and this is the other side of this sloping thing. See, this could also have been a construction element. Materials could have been. It could be a staircase leading down into this. But yeah, there must be something under. Well, there's a branch sitting right there. I don't know. You would almost think something has to run under this wall to make sense. Alright, so let me see. There's a support building down there, and there's a weird thing over there. There's the first of these between the parallel lines, and over here is what looks like a support building that is identical to another one down here. So I'm going to go over here and show you that by gracefully scaling this wall as a prime age gazelle. And now you'll also see these structures leading into the ground, and there's another one of something sloping into the ground, but it's covered. The walkway is covered, and this leads down to that. I will show you. Something could have been embedded in this. Could have been a crane. See this massive thing over here? That is, don't know what this is. So you're looking at this structure here. Nice cement with a lot of holes in it. Of course, it's full of water, but this space leads from there up to the slope ramp that leads underground. You can actually follow it here. See how this ramp goes and meets it up there. We'll go up there in a minute. Something was welded to this. I don't know if there was a crane or something. On the other corner over here, the same thing. Something welded down here. There would have been vertical metal structures. See, this is a little, this is not as deep as this one next to it. From what it looks like. And it looks like a doorway in there. I don't know if this actually connects to the technical building. It's hard to tell. Everything here is hard to tell because I have no reference to any technology that would look like this. And this is one of the technical buildings. It's full of something that we mount for generators and power supply. There's two of these. There's another one a little bit further down the other side, but it's far more dilapidated. And I'm just thinking, if this was a temporary part of the construction setup, it's pretty damn elaborate. Not to mention, this has weatherproofing on it, all around it. So whatever this was, they intended it to stay here for a long time. Very small town. You have what could have been road up to this. Again, weatherproofing all around it. And there's no stairs in this, as you can see. Like I said, I have no point of reference as to what this is. There's nothing I've ever seen that looks like this. You have square holes in the ground. So this just connects with where we were looking down. These are both facing the same direction. And then we get to the technical building. It's not very big. So no, there's, in the distance there you can see the first of the things. Let's go in here. See what we can see. So, all these outside rooms if it wasn't because of what I am about to show you, I could almost see this as being explosives productions with a slope ramp for the gentle movement of liquids, nitro, these separated rooms to mix components with the blast wall or door. However, in lieu of what you are about to see, all that goes out the window. So you have the other side of the small rooms. You have technical tunnel. Maybe a couple of generators will be sitting here. That's entirely possible. Although, for as large as this, whatever it is having 3 small generators, or maybe one very large one, that would make more sense. Remember, there's quite a bit of power supply in this neighborhood. We are not far from the Henge. Yeah, these buildings are exactly identical. There's at least 2 of these. Not reinforced in any way. This is not a bunker in that sense. This is built to last, but I think some of these technicals, you know, I almost seem to see a lateral tunnel here that I'm about to step up onto. There's only one way of finding that out. We know how this goes. Let's take a look. Alright, so there is a significant underground of stuff. And you can see the things. So take a look at this foundation, then I'll show you what we're actually looking at. There is a tunnel that runs that way. Alright, so this is the, what are we going to name these? Are we going to give these names, numbers, or just this is a thing, this is the other thing? Where are we going with this? I don't know. Clearly a technical platform. Not a tunnel, because it is deliberately cut in places. So I have no idea when this was built, I have no idea what it is, no idea what it's for, but I'm looking at the trees. It was definitely quite a while ago. Here's another, maybe a crane or something that was sitting there. Looking at down here, nothing in either end. This is just closed to that end, closed to that end. Oh, but there's metal stands in the floor there. So something was bolted in the ground and on top. And again, weatherproofing tar. This was bigger, so it's not identical. 4 mounts. I see in my mind's eye a lot of vertical structures here. Cranes lifting, metal beams sticking up everywhere, which is not exactly making this any easier. I see electrical. See these 4, thinking something must have been mounted there. Square holes over there. Shallow. I don't see a whole lot of mounting screws or anything on top of these, but alright. Like just back there, there's another technical building identical to that one. There's storage buildings, warehouses built for this complex. Lots of platforms. I keep thinking electrical. Actually, there's no idea what I'm thinking. There's quite a few of these metal foundations. And there's a very large, heavy one right here. And smaller platforms. And here you start seeing those large pillars. World War II or early Cold War era, judging by the decay and the forest. So but this is what we are looking at. How identical. Now, as you can see from the aerial, these are identical to the ones parallel to it, and then they're different all the way down. They get a little smaller, not incrementally, just all of a sudden there's smaller ones at the very far end. And I know you all look at these and think, well, they're bridge pillars. That's what I would think. Problem is, there's no bridge. There's never going to be a bridge. There's absolutely no access for a bridge. There was no bridge here. There's not going to be a bridge here. And also, this absolutely unthinkable that there would have been that they would build a bridge with uniquely different pillars for each pillar on a solid flat ground. And remember, this ground is artificially completely flattened and evened out. It is 100% flat. There's not a dent here. This was all ground out as it before this started. And huge mountains. There's some platforms from what I can see up top. And also, if this was a bridge pillars, which is not, why all the electrical? Why all the technical? Then I heard myself say, as I was sleeping, trying to, last night, figuring out what in the hell this was, thought to myself, well, maybe it's bridge test pillars. They built them to test strength of design. And then the immediate question was that, why all the electrical and technical and support? That looks like absolute permanent infrastructure. So that doesn't really fly either. So these two are identical to each other and large. Well, yeah, okay. But this is smaller. And it's identical to this. Then the next one down there is different than the first and identical to its partner over there. And that's how it goes all the way down. You see where this is going. So, all right. Came across heavy-duty electrical cable case. Somebody pulled out the copper, but there was a heavy cable here. And another thing about these is you have to look at the shoddy construction with all the metal sticking out. This was deliberately put up quickly. I don't think they got to finish it because I see some of the wood casings where it was cast into still in place. So I don't know if they even finished this and put it into production of whatever this was. Well, some things bolted through. And then there's the pipes there. I mean, that's what I mean. Like, come on, there's... What is that for? If this was a test platform for a bridge, it's not going to be vertical holes leading up into it. You thought this was going to be easy. But there's a staircase down. There's a staircase down. There's a staircase down. Well, ain't that just... Great big trick fellas are digging for me. Of course it's flooded. Well, ain't that fucking special. The hell are we looking at here? Yeah, bridge pillar? I don't think so. There's a long stretch out platform, or two in the center there, with mounting holes or slots. This runs all the way under its partner to the other side, with the holes up. And just a flooded floor. This is where the floor is. It's not any deeper than this, really. It's got like 10 inches of water, which is... Those round things are not landmines or tank mines. Don't know what they are though, but they look sort of familiar. Anybody on that one? So technical tunnels run under the platforms with heavy platforms running throughout. I really thought, well, it's just there's a simple construction reason for this. I said to myself, that's in there good. The end, and you have open field. And just another point to put a nail in the coffin of this whole being a bridge, as a rather sizable mountain hill right there, right in its path. So, no, and again, there's no roads. I'm in the middle of nowhere. If this was going to be a road bridge, it would have been for a massive freeway system. And there's nothing like that. Rural Poland, Riese area, small villages, nothing. There's nothing here that merits this type of infrastructure. See, there's another opening down to the technical shaft that runs through between these pillars. Wow. You've got a little horseshoe foundation here that I see between another pair down there. Two platforms that are supported by sloping sides. I guess that will be a sign of support and strength. I'm assuming there's a platform, a plateau here, where I would imagine you would have put materials, again, completely flattened. You could have stored the stuff you needed to build these here, or other stuff, I don't know. Maybe a check-in for the road. And then you have this. This is the first piece of writing I've seen on anything here at all. I thought this was just a plateau, and then I thought, have a closer look. I don't know what this is either. I really don't know. Don't know what this is. Sort of reminds me of Jonastal, the compressor bank, had all these foundations for the air compressors for the work. So identical something was mounted on these, or maybe there was a single rail. Single rail. It's never a single rail. I thought for a minute maybe there was one over there. You would have one of those gigantic ship cranes that would, you know, when you have your container ships unloading, have these huge dockyard ship cranes that runs on rails. But they wouldn't be sitting on a little cement block like that, because I wouldn't carry a huge crane like that. And there's only one of these. There's not one identical over there. So once again, not making any sense. And then there's a paddle, which I have a wooden paddle. The kind of thing you used to stir industrial stuff with, I would imagine. Let's call that the tube. These things don't match. They really don't look like things that should be in the same place, do they? So here on the side of these is a segmented cement road. So there was a road ran down here parallel. At least I see something here I understand. It's a road, yay. And there's another one, support building, some sorts. I'm imagining if that looks exactly identical to the other, then there's 3 of them on all sides of the complex. We'll find out. Wow. And everywhere there's large foundations, and almost looks like one of those slopey things, but it won't be. Oh, I say it won't be. I have no idea what it'll be. Another mounting platform. Oh, that's identical. That one is identical to this one. But just saying, when I say there's voltage, this is why I'm saying that there's voltage, besides the fact that we have cable and technical everywhere. I don't suppose I'm looking at this was much larger. So, let's see, this just doesn't look the same. And there's a warehouse building here. Well, I say that, and I use that term advisedly because only half of it left. But the white you can see actually used to be inside of the factory hall because everything else collapsed. Again, lending date to this. And then you have, this is where getting a second look at a place. It's kind of interesting, take a little time. And my buddy I'm exploring with just let me know there's a snake around here. So, okay. What do we got here? So, the huge platforms over there. These are, we're down a little bit further. I walked on the outside, came down the side. These are a little smaller, again, not gradually. And then we get to this, which is actually quite a distance from, let's take a look inside, shall we? So what are we looking at? Another tunnel. Does that run the entire area? Nothing there. Nothing there, just that way. This is just so you have technical tunnels running under these things. Oh, you know what? It's identical, it's just a little better shape maybe. Another of these technical buildings. with small rooms facing away from the center. And again, storage warehouse. And a huge dirt embankment. There was another one far off on the other side of the rail as well, so it's kind of closed in. I was wondering. You know, we've seen this before. We have seen this before. If you remember Mauerwald, the army headquarters bunker, they had a generator, backup generator station, where they had these little rooms and they had the generators on rails so they could roll in and out and be serviced or exchanged. So this could have been a bank of auxiliary power, and there's 3 of them building, I mean, which means there's quite a lot of auxiliary power, a lot of power in general. Right, okay, that makes sense. So the wonderful thing about studying these historic buildings is even if it was not related, the technology hasn't changed that much and that fast. And it remains the same because it's a good idea. We all know it's a good idea. Yeah. Okay, there's a lot of these. Now, there's a lot more of these. And then you have this old warehouse. And you sort of see the outline of the roof. This building was a lot bigger before it eventually just came down to natural decay. Again, showing this is old. And this was around the time of the war, one way or another, just by judging the buildings, the construction methods, and the decay and the nature. Of course, now we're seeing styrofoam, and every time I'm around the Reise sites and I see styrofoam, you all know how that always seems to appear. So this is the decay of the building that had come down here. There's nothing in there. No writing on the wall. No switches. Nothing. If I could even get a language. This was a warehouse type building. Lots of styrofoam with mold on it. It sounds like the owls and the dogs are arguing outside. Weatherproofing. It could have been, well, I guess it would have been certainly been outside. Fairly large. It was a fairly large building. Weatherproofing on what would have been on the outside of it, I imagine. Probably side of the building. Really, there's a lot of animals around here, which I kind of like, obviously. Now there's an active business right here. Don't think they give a damn about these. Don't care that we're here. But I'm just not going to bother them because I really want to know about this. So here you see they're smaller. Again, parallel. They're parallel to each other. They're identical. Lots of debris. Of course, this could all, I mean, the business is fairly modern. That's down there. Some don't know what they do. I'm going to call them though and ask if they know what was here. Because, well, it's in their backyard. See, these get smaller. And this is much more massive. $87. Great, I see numbers. And these two at the end, identical and smaller. And then they get more massive. This is way more massive. Almost looks like bunkers. They're not, but let's take a look. The last ones here. I'm right on their area. I know it. Like I said, I don't think they care about this, but I do not want to be interrupted while I'm trying to figure out what this is. In case they are producing some new space rocket. Does Poland have a space program? I guess they're part of the European. That's a newer building over there. See, all the debris could have been just dumped here from buildings destroyed, but also an indicator that there was something else before. There was more. I don't know what this. They look completely different. Also, the roof of these, it's not flat or even at all. And I see a green paint on the wall there. Underground to these. This was more a building, like a house, and people would be inside, looks like. This is a venting grate. And here are these heavy mounts, screws that would bind some of these blocks together, I think. Anchors. Another venting grate up there. Something about these two buildings that intrigues me. What have we there? What in the hell is this? Well, I know what this is. It says electricity. That's a big ass switch for electricity. And there's the outside. The other side. heavy duty slope there. It could have been controller for some of their electricity, but why are they identical? Throws him something out here. I'm gonna have to say post-war electrical experiments. This makes sense. Besides, why would anybody experiment anything here and after? I gotta find out what was here during the war. Okay. I want to see the corrosion of the cement. Again, but these are all so rudimentarily put together. At either end of whatever this is, there are unique buildings with parallel tunnels running underneath. One end they're smaller, the other end they're huge, and there's cross tunnels between them. That's a trend. That's not an accident. At this end, you have these two smaller buildings with it connected by an underground tunnel and clearly electrical components involved. And at the other end here are the huge buildings also connected by an underground tunnel with huge mounts for something as well. And then there's whatever this is in the middle. The one time I wear soft shoes and there's snakes around. I actually don't mind snakes, but I don't really have time for a bite. There's like water sewage, not access. See how unique these are? Now you have, they're taller again, but they're smaller. And they're all unique, but have a sidekick that's identical. And he's more electrical. There might have been electrical mounts on the top. Could these have been mounted inside or on top of? What the hell were they doing here? Oh, the bell tolls for me. They're very thick walls. Anchors in the ceiling. There's a little platform up there. The ceilings are not flat. There are little platforms on top, and then there's the little lips out over. And that's a detail that, if it had been a test platform, they would have just built the test structure. That little platform there that sticks out, that lip, that's almost cosmetic. I doubt it would serve any function. It's on all of them. They have that little lip. I mean, that doesn't, I mean, it's an extended platform so you can be up there or work up there, but it wouldn't hold anything. See how flimsy it is coming apart. That's where it's fragile at the edges. Two smaller ones here. And there's a lot of holes in the ground that are not natural. I mean, this was completely leveled out before they did whatever they did. And that is absolutely clear. So any holes in the ground had something to do with this. Here's another one of these horseshoe. I'm kind of trying to figure out what to call these things. I don't know. But here you see the construction wood. They encased it and filled it. And they haven't even taken it off yet. That's so weird. Yeah, this is much larger underneath here. So these horseshoe things Well, they're H-shaped, so not a horseshoe. This is a huge space. Drop the camera down here, I'll take myself. All right. So it seems that there's something between most of them. Underneath. There's got to be an electrical component, a serious electrical component to this. They're built really well. Solid metal. There's some serious rebar. This is bigger than you can see in the bunkers. With a metal shroud around the foundations too. I mean, nothing here was left to chance. This was not just put together for fun. And again, there's holes in the ceiling. Now you have seen the site with me. So what do you think it was? I have a real hard time with the official silk production story, nor do I actually have a time frame for construction, other than somewhere in the back of my mind I do think it was probably post-war. But what do you think? I think this bears more research. Behind me is Wernher von Braun's first test stand. Down the road is Dietmar's nuclear reactor. Over there is the Maginot Line and all its amazing forts. I'm visiting them all and I'm bringing them to you. So I really appreciate you like, follow, and share what I'm doing, trying to document all these important historical locations. And if you feel like you want to watch more pictures or documents that I use for these, go to lostbattlefields.com. And if you feel like helping me out with my travels, because gasoline and travel and airfare is expensive, my PayPal is there, protectionserviceint.com. You are more than welcome, but you don't have to. I appreciate all your support and all your help, and I love seeing these locations, and I love bringing them to you.